Hey farmers, Michael here with Growing Farmers and the Farm on Central, and I wanted to talk to you about sequestering carbon. So carbon is that magical force which just helps the soil breathe better. It helps it hold more moisture. It helps it hold better nutrients. And so we on the farm want to just maximize that as much as possible. Now, you can buy carbon in all sorts of forms. We use peat, we use compost, we use cover crops, vegetable waste, so there's not a ton in there. So there's a lot of ways to get it on there. And as you start a new farm, when I get on a new property, I'm always looking to find key resources to get carbon. So you can see here, this is wood chips. Now, I had to make 4 phone calls and drive several places before I could track down my first load of wood chips. And I'm still trying to reach out to different tree companies. Around here, they actually pay to get rid of it. So they pay a tipping fee of maybe at the dump $40 a load, or at there's a place here that actually will grind it, and that's $7 a load. So they have to pay to get rid of it. So we have an easy place for them to dump. And so what we've got here is this load of wood chips. And I'm gonna give you a couple tips for dealing with carbon. Is first, get as many sources as possible. So wood chips is a great one. Shredded leaves is another one. We don't recommend using grass clippings because you just never know what's in them unless you can really get a good idea. Maybe it's an organic lawn care company and you know it's still clean, because they can have some nasty things in them. Cover crops are great, but you got to plant them and deal with them. And other waste too. I mean, if you have mushroom compost nearby, that can be gotten for relatively cheap in other locations. The second thing I would say for dealing with carbon is have an easy place for them to dump it. So right here, we just dumped it on the side of our driveway. We're actually building out an area on our farm that'll be super easy for them to back in and dump. And so we'll bring a gravel driveway in, a nice pad, a big open space so they can get their trucks backed in and turned around. So we're building that out. So it makes it super easy for them. They never have to think, oh, will I get stuck there? Like, oh no, it's super easy to get in there. Third thing is get the tools to use it. So this is what they consider like a silage fork. It's got a lot of tines. It's great for picking this kind of material up. You can see just how you can take a huge scoop of it easily. And so what I just encourage you to do is I encourage you to think about on your farm, how are you sequestering carbon? Where are you getting that? And again, we're going to be piling a lot of this and just letting it rot. We'll be using some of it for mushroom cultivation. So we're doing like king straforias. There's other types of mushrooms you can do out in the fields with just piles of wood chips or layered wood chips. The other thing is mulching. So we've got the apple tree is mulched. We're going to be mulching all of our beds. All of the different trees on our property are going to get a really thick layer of that around our coolers and that sort of thing too. Again, we do not want to have to weed whack anything on the farm. We'd like to deal with it, manage that with either just wide open spaces or being able to use wood chips to get those hard to reach areas and just cover those up. And so we just get carbon sequestering there. Because again, after a couple of years, you can pull that out, use that in other areas as that's broken down. So there you go, folks. That's 3 tips for dealing with sequestering carbon. Super important. Anytime I'm moving onto a farm or talking to a farmer, I'm always talking about what are your sources of carbon? How are you bringing that onto your farm so that you can increase the water holding capacity and you use less nutrients. So go ahead, like our channel, subscribe, share this with a friend, and grab our resources below. We've got lots of free resources for farmers just like you to help you grow your farm and thrive.